Today is Friday, May 31st, Erev Shabbat, Parshat Bechukotai, and Erev Shabbat when we learn the fifth parak, the fifth chapter of Pirkei Avot. The Mishnah, and actually the Mishnayot in this chapter, are actually organized around different sets of numbers that we should take note of. And one of the focal points are about the Arba Midot. There are There are four types of traits for people, and it's actually one mission talks about the way we relate to possessions, and the other one is called Arba Midot B'deot. There are four types of people when it comes to their deot, which usually means all their traits, but it's very clear that we're talking specifically about one element of temperament, as excuse me, Dr. Twersky chooses to, I think, correctly translate it. What are they? Noach lichos v'noach lirtzot, one who is angered easily, but is also pacified easily. That person, yatzas charo behefsedo, you know what? His gain is offset by his loss. The fact that he calms down easily, it's offset, unfortunately, by the fact that he gets angry quickly. Kasher lichos v'kasher lirtzot, someone who is difficult to anger, but once he's angry, boy, it's hard to calm the person down. Yatzah hefsedo b'scharo, and that person, his loss is offset by his gain. Okay. Kasher lichos v'noach lirtzot. The third one in all these scenarios is the preferred. Someone who is difficult to anger, slow to anger, right? But is easily pacified. Chasid, that person's a pious person. Noach lichos v'kasher lirtzot, someone who easily is angered and is hard to pacify. That person is a rasha. That person is wicked. Here, I think Dr. Twersky correctly also has us define better what we're talking about, and we're not talking about the initial emotion that a person might have when something happens. You might, firstly, if you feel upset about something, we're talking, he says, about not the reflex action, although we should work on the reflexes too, but rather the second and third phase. The second and third phase, he says the second phase is the reaction to this emotion, which can range from total silence and restraint through a broad spectrum of responses all the way to frank violence. When something rises in you, so then what do you do with that, and how do you react to that? The third phase is the retention of anger or bearing a grudge. So to avoid confusion, I'll read you what he says as well. Let us refer to these three phases by different terms. We'll refer to the emotion evoked by provocation as anger, the response to the emotion, to the provocation as rage, which can be mild or severe, and the continued retention of the emotion as resentment. So that's something which we should be aware of, and it's so interesting that we talk about all the different emotional spaces that a person might find himself in. The Mishnah is really concerned about this. The way we are move to anger and hold on to anger, or to let it go, or control it, or learn how to modify it with whatever forms of modification we can have, whether it's reason or calming oneself, and all the ways that we do it. That's an essential part of how a person functions in this world. And you know that you can talk about selfishness in the previous Mishnah, or some other qualities, but in the end, if a person has an anger management issue, and that's an anger management, but an anger issue, and it's manifest there, that that's where so much destruction happens all around him. It will destroy the people in his family, and the people he deals with, or she deals with, and ultimately destroys the person himself. And whether people will line up neatly in these four categories is not really the point. The point is really, this is where work really needs to be done. And to find ways, we all have things that provoke, that stimulate anger, to really work on the methods that will calm us. There are many therapeutic ways, and there are trainings and methodologies for people to learn how to bring their temperature down from a high point to a calmed place. to be able then to address things with all of their qualities, and not just from the emotion of anger, which can be which is of course so destructive in every way. May God enable us to do that extra work, thinking about it more as we reflect on the teaching of this Mishnah. Have a Shabbat Shalom.